Hi, welcome to the Actors Side. I'm Pete Hammond, and I'm so excited today. We have Ruth Negga, who is the co-star of Loving, which just actually opened, did spectacularly well in a few theaters. It's going out slow in the business, as they say, and it will widen where everybody will have a chance to see it. I first saw this movie, as you know, at the Cannes Film Festival in May, and I just fell in love with it. I didn't know what it was, to tell you the truth. I had no idea of the story of Mildred Loving here, and of course Richard. I had not seen the documentary that was made by HBO, but it's such a beautiful romance. It's a true love story, this movie, more than anything else. There's a lot of issues to it, but ultimately it's a great love story. Is that what attracted you? What attracted you to this script?
First and foremost, Mildred and Richard themselves as human beings, and their connection to one another, which I'd never really seen something so genuine and vibrant before on screen. Yeah. And I really thought that Jeff's screenplay was super faithful to that relationship that I'd witnessed in Nancy Bursky's documentary that you were talking about, The Loving Story. And I really felt that Jeff had translated that energy, that loving energy, from the archival footage into his screenplay, and it really I reacted to it in a very visceral way, and I wanted to be part of telling that story, because I think you're right. I think it's one of the great love stories that we haven't heard of yet, and I think first and foremost it is a love story about two people who are facing huge obstacles, and they manage to overcome them.
Yeah, and this movie is really about home as well. You know, I really felt that when I saw the film, that you could say, oh, well, you know, like you say, why don't they just move? No, you know, and really in your character, you could see it in your eyes and everything. Look, this is my home. They're saying I can't live in my home. With your other family and everybody else there. It's really astounding. They're just taking you away. They're yanking you away from that.
Yeah, and I think also not just the sense of place is so strong in Jeff's film, and Jeff and Adam Stone, our cinematographer, really worked to make that a very evocative theme in our film, and you really do see it. The colors of Virginia are just so beautifully brought to life, and they're so enticing and captivating, and you really see Mildred's connection to this place. And I think a lot of us would be quite horrified if we were told that we couldn't live where we wanted to live. I mean, that's for many of us a step too far, but for a lot of people that was the case.
I have to ask you about your audition, because you went in, I don't think Jeff Nichols, who's the writer-director here, knew you or where you were from. How did you hear about this, and how did you prepare to go into this audition?
Well, Francine Mazer, the casting director, very kindly put forward my name to Jeff and Sarah Green, his producing partner. And Jeff sent me some scenes from his script, and also with Nancy's full documentary. Yeah. And I was just so overwhelmed by the gift of this, of seeing this couple moving and talking and speaking and interacting. That I knew that for any actor worth their salt, that would be a huge boost. So I knew that I had to really, make an impression when I went in there. So I studied Nancy's documentary. I pored over it, and I did my prep essentially, and I went in, and I think Jeff asked me if I wanted to have a chat beforehand, and I was so nervous that I said no. Let's just get stuck in.
So he still hadn't heard your regular accent?
No, yeah. I think he was quite surprised, but the thing is that I don't think I would have done Mildred justice if I'd have gone in just in my own accent, because it's so part of who Mildred was. She had these really dulcet tones, and a beautiful sort of accent that is very much specific to Central Point, all these coastal tones, and also a period accent. It was very refined, almost polite. So it's very integral to who she was as a human being and her characters. So I don't think it wouldn't have been true or authentic portrayal of her if I'd have done it in a sort of half-baked way.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to him, and he said, the minute you did this audition, he said, do we have to see anyone else? We don't have to see anybody else. First one out of the gate, he said. And then when you spoke to him, he goes like, wow, I had no idea.
No.
It's such a unique way and a great actor's story, I think, of getting a role.
Yeah. But, there's a lot of people who were championing me towards that place, including Francine. So I'm very lucky. I think what actors need is just a foot in the door, an opportunity,
Yeah, and you don't always have this opportunity of having a whole documentary where you can study that before you go into an audition.
No, I mean, yeah, and there's a sort of, I suppose it's such a wealth of information that you feel quite spoiled as an actor. But there's also this idea that perhaps there's a lot to live up to.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because these were real human beings, but we have a real strong sense of who they were.
Yeah.
And how they, not just as individuals, but how they interacted. Because this film is very much about a couple and that synergy between them, that energy created by their chemistry. So, and that was very important for Joel and I to not just recreate, but really embody and really be as faithful as possible, not to just these two human beings, but their love.
Is it a tough business? I mean, from your point of view, having done stage, television, movies now, all kinds of different roles.
It is a tough business, but I've never done anything else. I'm sure there's lots of other tough businesses, but the thing about this is not linear progression. You don't leave college and then you do, you kind of intern and then you kind of get to the bar and then you become, there's no sort of like linear progression there. Right. It's something that is hit and miss, and that there's ups and there's downs, and there is no certainties. And I think most actors I know understand that, and so you never take anything for granted, really. Yeah. But I also think it's very important to mind yourself, to look after you as a human being, because the rejection can be quite tough, because it's not just rejecting like an essay or something. It's rejecting you as a human being.
I've heard so many actors say, they can't keep me from acting if I can find a way to do it. Go into little theater here. You switch back and forth. You've done quite a bit of theater, actually. Yeah. What do you prefer? Do you like doing that? It's totally different from making movies, I imagine.
It's not totally different, but I think it's about different muscles and it's about different understanding of space. But, and it's just practically it's different kind of hours, Theater is all about your day being targeted towards 3 or 4 hours specifically. So it's a kind of different use of your energy on a practical. And most of this business is practical. It's only if you've got early hours in the morning and you've got a 17-hour day, you've got to use your energy in a very different way as well. The other thing is that in theatre you really have to mind your voice. You're doing 8 shows a week. It's extraordinary amount of stamina. But yeah, and then I don't know. They've got different uses of skills, but also essentially the same, because you're playing humans and you're playing characters. So the creative energy, I feel, is the same.
A movie like Loving, with all the attention that you've been getting since the Cannes Film Festival when it debuted, is a whole different aspect, I think. You're suddenly doing talk shows. I saw you on, one
Fallon?
of the yes.
I was full body nervous.
I was going to say, is doing all this stuff, is it terrifying to go on something like that?
Yeah. I mean, they're making no bones about it. It's terrifying. It is, because, there's a certain amount of, terror doing anything live. But being yourself live, I think for most actors, is the utmost terrifying experience. Because it's not what acting is disappearing.
Right.
So.
That's a very interesting, for acting is disappearing. And you said you were shy. You grew up shy, so that's...
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, people assume if you're shy that you're like quiet and demure and very proper and polite. I don't think I'm any of those things. It just is that, I think it's, I don't know, it's something. Acting for me was a lovely form of escapism where I could be those things that maybe I wasn't, I was shy to be in my own real life. And I don't think that's anything new. I think many actors feel that way.
Ruth Negga, thank you very much for coming in
No,
on
it's
the
my
actor
pleasure.
side and giving us
Thank
your
you.
side of it.
Thank you so much.